What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about DAG today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. DAG Constellation. I forget who requested this. I told you I'd do this, and I didn't write your name down. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but yes, we're doing it here. They had a very cheeky way of requesting it, and I just figured I'd do it anyways. We are finding support here at prior areas of resistance. DAG. What is DAG? What do we have as far as like market cap goes? 129 million. That's nice. The amount of volume that you're seeing on a daily basis is pretty low, which I'm not going to hold against you because we are in boring and uncertain times. People might not be trading right now. It really depends on when we're moving, if volume's coming in. So, but that is pretty low volume in all fairness. Especially for something like at this level of market cap. But on DAG here, 4.5 cents now, finding support at prior areas of resistance does seem to be a good stopping point. Now, the question might come to mind, is it going to go lower? Is that the low? Are we going higher? And I'm sure anybody who's invested in this is like, no, we're not going to go lower than that. But let's just see. Let's just see real quick. Yeah, I would agree. You probably don't go lower than that. That's nice, man. I was actually unaware. In comparison to a lot of cryptos, in November you pumped, let's see, how much was that? 214%. Yeah, you had an above average move from your lows in September, August to your highs in December. You had an above average move, so that's good. And you're dropping a little bit. Let's see, how much from a high to a low have you dropped? About average, a little bit above average, but above average move up, above average move down. That's just kind of how it happens sometimes, right? You really are range bound right here, finding resistance in this area here, here, little wicks above, finding support here. You're pretty range bound. It is like a horizontal channel down. It's possible. I accept it as a possibility, but I'm not calling for this. That you could come down and find support here, but that's a 50% drop. And I mean, if you outperform most of the market on this last pump, I have a high degree of suspicion that you will not like drop this much. Right? I expect the average altcoin to drop 20, 25%, maybe even less than 20%. This thing dropping 50%, like it could drop a little bit more, sure, but to drop all the way down to 50% is kind of hold on. Sorry, but we're at 4.5 cents now. I would have a hard time seeing it drop down that low. If we're looking at this on a monthly basis here, finding support at the 50 area is okay. I'm okay with that. If we look at the weekly time frame here, and that's on a monthly basis. So if the month closes around here, you're not in trouble. If it closes a little bit lower, you're not in trouble. That's all I mean by that. On a weekly time frame, looking very productive. Yes, looking very, very productive indeed. Higher lows here, getting overbought, not getting oversold. That's a good look, man. That's a pretty damn good look. Something like this with this kind of market cap really has a lot of potential. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but the coins that do see a 100x or a multi 100x in any bull cycle, which is not all of them, but there's a good bit of them that will, and this could be one of them. They start at market caps like this, right? They start at market caps like this, and most importantly, they have good structure in their charts, which you have both. So I'm not saying that you will see a 100x or that you will see a 500x, but it's possible. Like yeah, 500x. Like it's crazy stuff could happen with this thing, man. You don't know. I don't know. Do your own research, by the way. Look up the fundamentals. Make sure that you're aware of like any token unlocks and stuff like that before you actually put your money into stuff like this. In fact, let's see, fully diluted valuation is just a little bit more than the market cap, so that's probably not even something to worry about, to be completely fair. I think that this thing has a lot of potential. If we're looking at it, I want to go back out to the monthly here. I believe this is the all-time history from a high in August of 2021, so the bull market high prior to this cycle, to the lows here in this. Man, that's just a nice massive accumulation phase is what that is. When you rip, you're going to really rip. 4.5 cents now, I think you're immediately going to rip to prices that are at 13.5 to 17 cents at least. But genuinely, I think more likely you're going to stop somewhere between 23 to 31 cents. That's phenomenal, man. That's pretty good. Let's see, from the current price, we're talking about a move that could be anywhere from like a 5x to potentially a 7x, right? Crazy stuff is going to happen. Yeah, I don't suspect that on this next move up, you're just going to break right through your all-time high. You could, it's possible. But likely what you do, kind of like you did here, you consolidated below your all-time highs before breaking above them. And even when you broke above them, you back tested for support at your prior all-time highs before running higher. So I would think you probably stop somewhere in this area between about 23 cents. Let's up it to 45 cents, somewhere in that zone there. You probably consolidate, pull back, find support at this prior area of support here, and then continue to run to finish off your cycle. You'll see one last finale, and it might be bigger than what I'm making it out to be. Let's see. So if you were to see 100x, if you were to see a multi 100x, let's see what that would be. And you might not. Just because you can see a 100x doesn't mean you will. You can see a 30x. You could see a 10x. I doubt you're going to see a 10x because genuinely, I think that, you know, your next target itself is going to be like a 5 to a 7 to maybe even a 10x in itself. So I doubt you see a 10x by the end of the cycle. I think that you would, or stop there, I should say. I think you will see a 10x. You'll see multiple tens of x's, but minimum target here is at about a 23x. That's about average. That's what I would expect the average altcoin does. You're performing more than average right now, though, so a little bit above average might be the implication there. Sure, $1.60, and by the way, that's right at $1. That's a nice psychological level of resistance. It could be. The next area, though, if you were to perform above average, might be your 1414 area, and oftentimes with the 1414, you do go just above it. What's just above $1.67? That might be psychological resistance or like some form of resistance, something around $2 probably. So I think a 40x, a 40 plus x is very doable for this coin. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that was exactly what you stopped at. And yes, it's not quite a 500x like I was saying, right? That's not a 100x like I was saying. But you don't have to stop here. If I had to feel comfortable about any prediction I made so far, that's a comfortable prediction. I don't feel comfortable about this prediction. I feel pretty comfortable about this. Somewhat, let's see. Even comfortable with 320. Yeah, you could go to 3, and that's a 71x. Nothing wrong with that, man. If you do see something, and I will say this too, on just a fun fact note, what I've noticed in my 3 bull cycles in crypto, my 9 years of doing technical analysis, and just my time in crypto, you guys, is that and if anybody does that math, I don't know, what would 9 years ago be? Is that 20? That would be 2015, 2016, 2016. I bought my first cryptos when it was 2015, but I didn't really pick up technical analysis and start really heavily getting into it until like a couple of years later, like a year and a half later. But anyways, enough of that. In case anyone's connecting the dots for like, wait, 9 years, but you've been in for multiple cycles. But I still think that would line up. But anyways, what I'm trying to say here, my friends, is what was I trying to say? Oh yeah, that most coins, in my experience, when they do, if they do, right, you never know if they're going to see new all-time highs. We're still far away from confirming that you'll see all-time highs, but I have a strong suspicion this thing will see new all-time highs. Okay, from cycle to cycle, what's normal in my experience, like when I say normal, I'm like talking 70% of the time, the average altcoin from a high to a low, when they do see new all-time highs, and it's not just some kind of wimpy like double top kind of like thing, you know what I mean? Nothing like what Stellar Lumens or Litecoin did last cycle, right? Nothing like that. If you actually break through to new all-time highs, it's normally that you stop between the 1618 to the 2272. Okay, that's normally the area. Now, I will say 2272, it's a possibility, right? It is a possibility. I know it sounds crazy, but I said 500x, but a 600x, sure. 600x from here. I mean, 100x is 12.9. Let's just say $13 billion. 13, 26, 52, 70, yeah, 78. That could be around $80 billion. It could happen. $80 billion, man. If Shiba Inu, a meme coin, can see $80 billion in its first bull cycle, this thing with actual fundamentals to back it up, it could definitely see an $80 billion market cap by the end of the cycle. And that would be a 600x from here, 624x. I'm not saying that's what I expect, but I accept it as a possibility, right? If anybody says that's crazy, there's no way that happens. I kind of hear you. It's pretty crazy. I wouldn't say there's no way it happens though. That's crazy because this could happen. It really could. I've seen it happen before. It could happen. It could definitely happen. But that's a 600x from here. Don't you know that would mean it does an over 1000x overall? Yes, I'm aware. And we've seen cryptos this cycle already do over 1000x. Caspa has done like a 2000x, right? And that's the daddy DAG itself. But if you were to go to $25, all this is saying is that likely you don't stop there. You probably go a little bit above it. So maybe $30, $25 could be your absolute moon boyish, crazy, phenomenal high targets that you could absolutely expect, right? Something like that, or maybe not expect, but look for. 1618 I think is a good kind of minimum target in this kind of more bullish aspect because again, cycle after cycle you do actually stop at the 1618 to the 1272, but again, it's possible you could stop below, right? It is possible you could stop below. I wouldn't be surprised at all if you saw something at $7.41 to $10. That's a nice psychological area of resistance right there as well. Something on the lines from the current price of like a 162x, 100 and or 225, 240x, my bad. About a 240x to a 70x. That's probably what I would expect the most. And yes, it wouldn't surprise me at all if you stopped around $2. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But just thinking about it and more practically speaking here, I would very much assume if I had to, just going on generalities here, which I think is the best way to kind of assume any of these coins. well, generally speaking, actually, technically, you wouldn't see a new all-time high. That's but generalities in the respect of a because the average altcoin does not see new all-time highs cycle after cycle. They fizzle out. At least the average one does. But generalities in the sense that you will see a new all-time high. The average altcoin that does see new all-time highs, they do stop between their 1618 and their 2272. Sometimes they stop lower. Sometimes they stop at the 1272 or the 1414, and there's plenty of logical reasons why that would happen as well. But if I had to guess, if I had to really put a pin on it, I'd say something between about like a 70x to potentially a 240x is what I would guess. Something, if I really had to put my money on it, man, I'm guessing 740 to 1062. That might be where you go. But don't be surprised or sad if you stop at 320, and maybe don't let go of the whole bag in case it does run all the way up to $25. Again, this seems a bit out there to me, but I've seen it happen before. It can happen. It's crazy stuff happens. Crazier stuff has happened. From low to high last time, you saw a 452x. This would imply an overall larger cycle growth, and a lot of people assume that you can't see bigger bull cycles, like cycle after cycle, you get diminishing returns, and that's because that's what Bitcoin does. But for the average altcoin, I think it's actually very common to see in your second or sometimes your third cycles to see, if you make it that far, to see the biggest cycles that you've seen in those cycles, because altcoins, they need more time to prove themselves. And that's actually whenever they carry out, right? Bitcoin was this solid thing that like people knew or assumed to know what it was when they were in the know and back in the day, right? People were acquiring it and just like it got hyped on, it got a bunch of momentum just because it was the original and only crypto that ever existed. It was supposed to be this new form of money, and that's really exciting. Now with stuff like this is just, it's more or less all the same, right? All coins are the same. You need time to validate that you're something special, and when you do validate that you're something special, that's oftentimes when you do see these moves where you can grow larger than your first cycle. So it wouldn't surprise me if you saw 25 to 26 bucks, but I'm not counting on it. I really do think $10 to $7 is where you're going to go, and then maybe at the lowest 320, but anywhere and everywhere in between is fine as well. You're at 45 cents now with the prospects of going lower. Again, where are you going to go? I would assume, let's say from a low here to a high. I mean, just looking at it, man, I bet you go down to what, like 4 cents. You're at 4.5 cents now. I bet you go down a little bit below 4 cents even. Yeah, right there. That's your golden ratio. Is right below or right there at 4 cents, 3.9 cents. Maybe you go lower than that, but that's my expectation. So that's all I got for you guys. If you like the video, hit that like button. And let me just make sure. Let me double check this real quick, actually. Hold on. It wouldn't surprise me. My bad. It wouldn't surprise. I was looking at the monthly time frame, so I thought that this was that low. No, this is the low we're talking about. It wouldn't surprise me if you did go a little bit below this low here. I'm getting confused because in the beginning I was saying you won't go below this low, but that was this low I was talking about. I was on a monthly aspect, so it was zoomed out. This low you could go below. You really could go below this low here. And that would be, if you saw something more than a 20% drop, that's nothing to be concerned with. It's very possible and totally fine if you do. But that's all I got for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.